even. Do
you have Facebook up?
No? Yes, I do.
Turn, at least turn the sound off.
Okay.
Yeah, you shouldn't have it on your computer. If it should take care of itself. It doesn't need to run your computer, I don't think. And 10. There you go.
All right, we're live on Facebook. So I'm going to start recording. And I'm so delighted to introduce to you Reverend David McArthur. I could go all day talking about his accomplishments, but I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to say my experience with this man is I have utmost respect for his and appreciation for his high level of integrity and all that he does for the world and at Heart Math. And I'm so grateful to be able to introduce Reverend David McArthur today. And his talk title is Spirit Heals. Yes. David, take it away.
Okay, Sheila. Thank you. Thank you. And it's wonderful to be with all of you. What a treat. I'm hanging out here in a beautiful 42-degree temperature in the Pacific Northwest. And I know we're California into Arizona. What fun. And I really want to invite us into one of the most powerful and meaningful of the experiences that we have the potential and the capability of accessing as spiritual beings. So that's what I'd love to do today. But I want to begin by just taking a moment in prayer together as we're socially very distant and virtually about 3 inches apart. The truth is we're one. There is a beautiful presence of love and wisdom that we are all connected in and we share. So I invite you to just touch your heart and take a gentle breath through your heart. As we move into this place of spiritual connection, spiritual awareness, where we step beyond the limited perceptions we have held and share the awareness of this infinite love that flows through us all. And in this moment of prayer, it's an opportunity for us to bring the blessing and healing of this love to our world right now when it so deeply needs it. So we send this love, this divine presence, this goodness, this wholeness. We send it to all of those who in this painful time are dealing with loss of loved ones and the impact of disease. And I just acknowledge as this love goes out that just this week a beloved family member of ours made his transition from this disease. And so, I know that my family is touched and enfolded by this love as your families are, as our communities are, as our hospitals and homes, that this love strengthens our parents as they hold the children. That this powerful love flows through us all, whether we are the youngest or the oldest, whether we right now are blessed with healthy, strong bodies, or we are some of those who struggle for breath. We're enfolded in this love. And at a time when our world struggles with discord, the gentle peace of understanding, which is the divine wisdom itself, is awakened in every being, and we call it forth to flow gently, yet strongly, through our communities, through our nation, through our world. And a greater light and understanding is being born. And we embrace that light. And we are one with that full and beautiful understanding as that which is greater comes forth into the awareness, the actions, the choices of humankind, uplifting all. And now in closing this time of prayer, we open our hearts to let ourselves be personally touched at depth. For we are each beloved children of the Most High. And that love surrounds and enfolds us, heals and uplifts and sustains us. For a moment in that sacred silence, dwell in that love. Mother, Father, God, we're so grateful. In the presence, in the power of that divine that is each one. Amen. Well, thank you for joining me in that moment of prayer. It's so helpful to me to be able to come together with you and send out that blessing, to be in that place of knowing together this amazing spiritual presence and power that we're one with. There's a experience that I've been going through lately that has kind of asked me to wake up a little bit. I found myself out the other day and noticed that I was in this beautiful spiritual place called judgmentalism. I was able, simply from the wisdom of my human self, to look around and find people who weren't doing it right. Now, my favorite judgment was on masks at the time, but I also realized at the same time, when I got home, I listened to the news, and I had the opportunity to sit there and judge and condemn people all over the world. I did it freely, and it's that favorite kind of perception that you get, that goes something like, "I'm right, you're wrong." Now, I don't know that any of you struggle with this. You may view the people around you and those people acting out our collective consciousness on television. Um, but anyhow, that I'm right, you're right. There's something very empowering about that. You know, it just makes me feel as though I actually have some sort of power and wisdom. Unfortunately, as those of us on this spiritual path know, that is it may be fun, but it is a rather painful illusion when we when we have to step into the um, thing of, whoa, what am I doing? The thing that it reminded me of was that there's a reason why I was doing that. And you know, with the blame game, you know, it doesn't have anything to do with the people out there when we're looking at a real reason. And I realized I had been more and more impacted by the real pain and struggle that is going on in our world. That, in fact, again, I shared in the prayer that within my own family, we've been through the loss of a beloved family member. I knew other people who were struggling. It's been a long time since we've been in this experience of staying within and not being able to go out and give the hugs and the connections and all the things that really are quite dear to our hearts as people. The things that were impacting me were very real. There's a tendency in spiritual work to want to kind of cast all of that off as illusion. It's not illusion, it's happening. We know people, we are impacted by it in our own families. But what it does, and what I realized it was doing for me, was that it had touched places that were very painful and tender within my past. Experiences of loss and hurt and powerlessness and lack that are there. They're there for me. They're there for all of us because we live in this world. And that reminded me that when that happens, when we experience the pain that we carry, and we all carry it, when we experience this inner hurt from that is there in the structure in our past, yes, we recognize it when we project out and we do our judgmentalism or however we do that. It's a simple protective mechanism that the brain has, where the brain interprets because of the hurt we hold. The brain sees anything that is not comfortable and supportive to us. It sees it as potential threat. So it creates this mental emotional reaction that I was using to, you know, within myself, give people a hard time just because how they were showing up in a moment, or because they might have ideas that were different than mine on, on the world stage. It was my brain protecting me so that I would reject things instead of being hurt. It's how the brain functions. We know that well. It's well understood. The reason that it's important to us as spiritual seekers is that it identifies that we are in an experience of emotional pain, that we have hurt, and that what we are calling for as spiritual beings is healing, spiritual healing, bringing the amazing power of this divine presence into us, and in to touch these places of pain and transform them. So I want to share with you a technique of healing that really is, to me, one of the most powerful and transformative techniques of spiritual application that we have. And in doing that, let me say that it's something you're all good at. You've been doing it forever. But with things that we do a lot, sometimes we miss what's really going on. Now, the technique, the spiritual skill, is called the hug. Okay, I mean, that's and I know if you're here on a Unity service, you are a good hugger. It just comes with the territory. Okay, and it's a joy, isn't it, when we get to hug somebody? And it's part of the struggle of this time is, whoa, there are so many people I'd love to give a hug to and I can't. But I want to talk about a particular kind of hug, the hug you give to yourself. Okay, that's just right now. Put your arms around. Just give yourself a hug. Isn't that a beautiful feeling? You know, it has a little bit of security and gentleness and care. Those are things that are the evidence of the presence of your spiritual nature and power. And what happens is that the physical act of hug, when you hug yourself, that physical act is like going to the doorway of spiritual power. It's like saying, I'm ready to step into the room of spiritual healing, and I've opened the door. So let me share with you an experience. It was the experience which helped me awaken to see the amazing power of our spiritual nature, of this divine presence, to heal us and to heal us of the deeply hurtful patterns that we all carry. So this took place some time ago. Matter of fact, it was the point of my graduation from ministerial school, which was a long time ago. And what had happened was there was a classmate and I who we'd gone through the experience of, okay, we got our degrees. Now I'll tell you, a degree from a seminary and $3 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks. That's because basically it doesn't empower you to do anything other than put some initials after your name. What is necessary for the people that were with me to go on and into a career of ministry, which was a reason that we went into this study, is something called ordination. And for that, completely separate from the schools and the degrees and that, is a team of people who meet with you throughout your thing and watch to see whether what they experience is really someone who will uphold the standards and bring the spiritual maturity and support necessary for ministry. And so the way that comes around is, okay, this was the last meeting we had with this group of people, and we'd go in individually and be interviewed and that sort of process. So I was waiting for a good friend of mine. She was in the in her committee meeting, and we'd been friends. We both had daughters that were about the same age, so our families had been quite close through this time. She came out of her meeting and she was devastated. After all these years of study and all the money and giving up a prior successful career to come and do this, what they said to her was, no, you will not be ordained. Now, she did quite well. That powerful ability of the mind to take that hurt and extend it out in the world of blame. So she immediately pointed out to me all the faults and ignorance and error of their ways. But unfortunately, the other part of that is she was a deeply spiritual, mature, understanding being. And she was aware that someone does not bring that sort of experience into your life without it being a reflection of something taking place within you. And so then she took a deep breath and she turned around and owned that this must be something going on in her. And what she did was she went back and said, here's what they said. They said the reason they would not ordain me is that I was too childish. She said, okay, I don't know what that is, but I know what to do about it. So she invited, we stepped into a classroom there, and she said, just watch with me. And I was able to see her go through an experience of spiritual healing. What she did was she said, okay, if they're seeing childish, then in me, there is childish. And her name was Victoria. And so as she turned inside and she went back in her memory and she realized that what had happened for her was that when she was a little girl, in her family, there was a lot of turmoil and she was frightened. And the way she made herself safe when she was frightened was she would be the cute little girl, little Vicky. And in that, what she realized was she must have felt frightened or threatened by an extremely challenging gathering, one where they're going to say, you get this career or you don't for the rest of your life. And in that, this part of herself must have been triggered. And so she looked very deeply. She went to that part of herself and realized, yes, this frightened little girl is a part of her. And it had just manifested and basically ruined her career. But her response to it was to reach out to that little girl, embrace her in her arms, and hold her and love her and tell her it was okay, you are loved. And I watched. She had her arms wrapped around herself. And I watched her face go from frightened little girl as she stayed in that affirmation of love. She stayed in that feeling of compassion for this little girl. And it was a while. But then I watched her face change. And it changed to peace. Strong, mature peace. And on her face, there was no anguish. In the voice with which she spoke, there was strength. From that, what she did was, we left there and she said, "Oh, I see, and the truth is, this needed to be healed. And now, instead of fear, instead of wanting to run there, I feel peace and I feel strength." And she asked to go back before this team of people. And she shared her experience with them. And has been an outstanding minister in unity for many, many years. But what happened was, the thing that was wrong out there let her see why she was angry and upset. It turned her to look at the part of the self that carried the pain from her living. And she brought to that pain love. When we see it wrong, what we need is a hug to enfold that part of the self. And the hug is this beautiful spiritual, physical connection that opens us. So suddenly we can feel the tenderness, like as she did for that little girl. We can feel the care. You let the love flow through you. And this is a universal truth. I love being able to touch the spiritual wisdom of this process in different ways. So let me share with you. This is from Thich Nhat Hanh, beautiful Buddhist teacher. And he's talking about this kind of experience of healing. He says, it's like a mother. When the baby is crying, she picks up the baby and holds the baby tenderly in her arms. Your pain, your anxiety is your baby. Your pain, your anxiety is your baby. And it's very simple. In the biblical language, it's simply God is love. And love transforms. When we feel the love and direct that love to that part of the self, it is healing. It is the divine presence healing the pain that we have acquired in this limited experience. Even from the beautiful teachers of Islam, from Muhammad, where he constantly calls God, Allah, the compassionate. I know a marvelous Muslim teacher and writer, and we were talking, and he shared with me that that's not really an accurate translation. It's not that God is compassionate, it's that God is compassion. God is love, just like in the Bible. And what I'm inviting us to do is, because we are in a time of pain, we are in a time when we have stimulated before us things that are going to bring forward aspects of ourselves that are seeking now to heal. When that's there, respond with the hug. For you, respond with your love. Bless you. Oh, we're at the point, Sheila, where we are within 1 minute of completing our service. And let me just say, I have the opportunity of stepping into this beautiful spiritual community from outside and far away. But what you have is precious. The ability to support each other at this time is perhaps more important than ever before. So I invite you, support each other, do so emotionally, do so spiritually, do so financially. Someday you're going to be able to get together and hug each other again. And that will be wonderful. But this is a gift to me to be able to step into a spiritual family, a spiritual community, and feel your love and power. Thank you.
Very much a gift for us to have you, David. That was just so beautiful. I just feel really moved, almost to tears. I'm trying to hold back here. Really touched my heart and soul. So I appreciate you so much. So we're at the time where we move into our spiritual cafe, where I'm going to take us off of Facebook Live and stop recording. And we're free then at Spiritual Cafe. As you all know, I think all of you have been to Spiritual Cafe a number of times to discuss things about the talk that resonated with you, to ask questions of David. He's agreed to stay with us today. And so we're going to take advantage of that opportunity, pick his brain. David, in case you didn't know, I think most of you know that David was a lawyer at one point, and he specialized in social activism, right, David?
Yes, I was in essentially environmental law.
And then he was a lead researcher at HeartMath for many years, where he began to specialize in showing how the HeartMath related to spirituality, and wrote a book, and then became minister at Unity of Walnut Creek. And now he's gone back to, he's written with his son another book, and you're very active in the HeartMath Institute, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful thing to be a part of.
Sure is. So it's interesting. Tomorrow evening, I'm starting a connection practice class, a 6-week class that, of course, you know the connection practice. You're on the board.
I'm on the board of and let me say, the chance to work with this woman and learn those skills at this time, one of the things that's happened is that we have seen spiritual